Welcome to the virtual training video for the Global Affairs Canada Gender Equality and Empowerment Measurement Tool. Throughout this video, you'll hear the voices of three different facilitators. We are Dr. Rebecca Thiessen, Professor in the School of International Development and Global Studies at the University of Ottawa, Dr. Sheila Rao, Research Consultant and Lecturer at Carleton University, and Dr. Kate Grantham, International Development Researcher and Consultant specializing in feminist approaches. This training video is intended to introduce and help familiarize you with the information and resources provided in your training package and guide you through the data collection process that you will use to evaluate the gender equality and empowerment impacts of Global Affairs Canada projects. We recognize that you bring extensive knowledge and expertise to gender equality and women's empowerment project evaluations. This knowledge will inform the data collection process, and you will play an important role advising the team on the collection of empowerment data in your country. Throughout the video, we encourage you to reflect on your own experience in working on or researching issues related to the categories of empowerment and the supporting environment for women's empowerment outlined in this training guide. Your knowledge of the context is crucial for ensuring the research participants can contribute fully to the data collection process. As part of your training package from Global Affairs Canada, you should have received the following materials: Training Guide Part 1, Training Guide Part 2, the Gender Equality and Empowerment Measurement Tool, and Reporting Guidelines. Throughout this video, we will introduce and review each of these materials one at a time.
Welcome to Part 1 of the training. In this portion of the video, we briefly summarize Part 1 of the training guide, including core concepts and principles of feminist methodology, and introduce you to Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy and Gender-Based Analysis Plus, GBA Plus, framework. Additional information and links to Canada's resources can be found in the Training Guide Part 1 in the files provided to you. A feminist methodology is an approach to research and data collection that prioritizes gender relations as a category of analysis. As a data collection approach, feminist methodology asks probing questions to better understand the causes and consequences of gender inequality, as well as the strategies or opportunities for achieving women's empowerment and gender equality outcomes in project activities. Several principles of a feminist methodology are important for guiding your work. First, a feminist methodology incorporates an intersectional lens. An intersectional lens is used to help us understand how diverse groups or individuals may experience inequality and opportunity in different ways, such as race, sexuality, gender identity, disability, age, class, nationality, and faith, etc. The participation of some groups in development projects may be limited because of discriminatory societal views arising from these sometimes overlapping categories of difference. A feminist methodology recognizes and incorporates different views and perspectives. A second principle of feminist methodology is that it employs a mixed method approach, bringing together qualitative and quantitative data collection. A feminist methodology may require flexibility in the data collection process. This means that asking probing questions and making linkages are important roles for the facilitator. We provide more detail about how to do this in the next section of the video. Third, a feminist methodology is participatory in nature. It uses participatory tools and techniques to ensure diverse voices are heard. It is listening-oriented and inclusive, ensuring opportunities for active participation and reflection in the data collection process. Canada's most recent commitments to gender equality and women's empowerment are spelled out in Canada's 2017 Feminist International Assistance Policy, in which gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls is integrated across the following 5 areas: human dignity, growth that works for everyone, environment and climate action, inclusive governance, and peace and security. Canada's commitments to research and data collection on gender inequality are also guided by the 1995 Gender-Based Analysis, or GBA, Plus framework. This framework explains why and how to use an intersectional lens for gender equality programming. The GBA Plus framework considers many identity factors like gender, race, ethnicity, religion, age, and disability, and the role that these identities play in power relations. For more information about Canada's commitment to Feminist International Assistance Policy or the GBA Plus framework, please see the links provided in Part 1 of the training guide.
Welcome to Part 2 of the training guide. This section of the video will guide you through feminist data collection, through a focus group discussion activity, and how to use the Gender Equality and Empowerment Measurement tool. So let's get started. Your role as an evaluator for the Government of Canada will be to collect information from participants on the project's contributions towards gender equality and empowerment impacts. The main objective is to collect and report on a project's contributions towards gender equality and women's empowerment. This will be achieved through a 3-hour focus group discussion with project participants using the Gender Equality and Empowerment Measurement tool. Together with the participants, you will build the tool through each step of the focus group discussion. This activity is really led by the participants with your guidance and support. Part 2 of the training guide provides you with all the information needed to achieve this objective. Before we get into the main section of the guide, it is important to recognize the importance of the facilitator role in this process. The facilitator is central to feminist data collection. The individual sets the tone and the overall setting of data collection and guides the research participants to contribute openly to the research process. You can refer to Box 1 of the Training Guide Part 2 for more details, but keep in mind, the facilitator establishes the tone and setting for the focus group discussion. They guide the discussion while paying attention to power dynamics. They use their own knowledge of the local context to prepare questions and examples that participants could understand and relate to. And they arrive prepared with all tools and resources needed. You can refer to the list of resources and materials provided to you in the Training Guide Part 2. So this is the general structure of the main tool you will use for collecting information from project participants. We will refer to this during this section of the video, so you will want to have this tool with you as we go through these next steps. In the focus group discussion, you may have a poster with this information, or you may use flip chart paper. Either way, you will use the structure of the tool to guide your data collection. Throughout the workshop, you will build and add to this tool together with the participants. These tools may look different in each focus group discussion you facilitate. The Training Guide Part 2 will walk you through the 9 steps you follow through the 3-hour focus group discussion activity. Each step includes its own time allocation. I'll just quickly introduce them here, and then we'll go into a little more detail with each step. Steps 1 and 2 will introduce the focus group discussion and the overall purpose of the activity. It will get participants speaking to each other to initiate their thinking about the project and their perceptions of gender equality and empowerment. Steps 3 and 4 will get into the main data collection activity based on the project. Step 3 introduces the categories of empowerment, and Step 4 will take these categories as a reference to gather information from participants in terms of how they may have experienced feelings of empowerment in any of these categories. We will talk about this in more detail a little later. Step 5 will build on all the information collected so far from their participants and to rate the project according to its overall gender equality impact. Step 6 will gather information on factors that may have contributed to participants' feelings of empowerment in a supportive environment. Steps 7 and 8 will ask for recommendations from participants for the Government of Canada on programming in the area. It will validate findings and go through all the steps one more time with the participants to verify and confirm all the information collected. Once this is all complete, Step 9 will close the focus group discussion and thank the participants. So let's get into a little more detail for each step. The goal of Step 1 is to introduce yourself and to make participants feel comfortable to engage in the discussion. Introduce yourself and your role as an evaluator for the Government of Canada. Explain that you are conducting an evaluation of gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls in the project they participated in. Talk through the schedule of the 3-hour session. Next, you will want to take a few minutes for participants to familiarize themselves with other participants and with you. In the Training Guide Part 2, you will find a description of an icebreaker that will help you to do that. The goal of Step 2 is to hear from participants on how they perceive empowerment and gender equality. In this first activity, you will ask participants what they mean by gender equality and empowerment. Using the Post-its, participants write their answers and place them on the tool. Once participants complete this, you can now try to categorize Post-its to see what themes might have come out of their responses. These answers may vary. It's important to highlight that this step is about how participants view empowerment and gender equality in their own life and in their society, and that there are no wrong answers. This will be their basis for discussing the project, so it is good to remind them to keep these in mind and refer to them when thinking through the answers to the next questions. The goal of Step 3 is to identify and introduce categories of empowerment with the participants. You can find a list of these in Box 2 of Training Guide Part 2. We have provided examples of these categories for your reference. You may have better examples based on your own experience or your knowledge of the particular place where the project took place. Participants might even have their own way of interpreting these categories. They may have examples of other categories. Include these in the tool and make note of these variations yourself. Step 4's goal is for participants to use these categories of empowerment to discuss their experiences with the project. Now, using these categories as listed, ask participants to think of how the project has impacted their feelings of empowerment. General questions are provided to you in the guide to facilitate the discussion. There are also specific questions under each category if you are noticing that participants are unsure of how to respond and that they may require a little more prompting. Participants may go into smaller discussions around the different categories. These discussions may bring out personal experiences that may make participants feel uncomfortable. For example, a participant may have recently experienced a conflict with a family member or a coworker that made them feel unsafe or disempowered. You may notice that participants are speaking more quietly. If this is the case, try to redirect the conversation away from that particular example and move to another relevant category. If the conversations are so personal, for example, about women's bodies, and you sense a bit of discomfort, it might be a good idea to consider who is in the room and how they may prevent others from participating fully. One strategy might be to shift to smaller groups where participants will be more comfortable in sharing their experiences. After this activity, it would be a good time to take a quick break for 10 minutes. Allow participants to attend to personal matters or have refreshments. Now in step 5, the goal is for participants to rate the project according to gender equality impacts that they see in each category and overall. In this step, we build on what we have gathered so far. You can refer to step 2 to review participants' responses to what gender equality and empowerment mean to them. Based on these reflections, ask participants how they rate each of the categories of empowerment in terms of gender equality impact. To rate each of the categories, use colored stickers. Use the red stickers for little or no gender impacts. Use the orange stickers for some gender impacts, the yellow stickers for significant impacts, and green for very significant impacts. A more detailed description of the rating scale is provided to you in the Training Guide Part 2. In Step 6, the goal is for participants to identify factors that may have contributed to these feelings of empowerment and to discuss what may be considered a supportive environment in different aspects of their lives. Place the separate poster or flip chart on supportive environment on the wall beside the gender equality and empowerment measurement tool and explain the definition. A supportive environment refers to legal, cultural, social, and economic factors that may have contributed to a participant's feelings of empowerment in their society and in their lives. This may refer to changes in their home, work, school, or religious life that lead to a particular achievement they are proud of, or a source of support that will potentially shape their future in some way. This could apply to different environments in their lives. Below the definition in the Training Guide Part 2, you will find examples of these factors, and again, you may have other relevant examples you can use, so please make note of these in your preparations. This might be a good time to pose guiding questions for your discussion. What were the key changes or achievements in your society and in your life that may have enabled your feelings of empowerment in this project? Ask participants to write their responses on Post-its and place them on the tool under Supportive Environment. The facilitator will review the responses with the group and ask participants whether they could be considered cultural, legal, or other kinds of changes, while keeping in mind the potential levels of discomfort that may arise, as discussed earlier in the training. The goal of Step 7 is to provide participants with an opportunity to offer recommendations that they feel would be useful in the project's achievement of women's empowerment and gender equality, and for future programming for the Government of Canada. You can use the questions in the guide to help generate this feedback. The goal of Step 8 will validate the findings and confirm what the participants have said, and that it is captured in their discussions and responses. You'll want to explain how the information will be used to help improve Canadian government's approach to addressing gender inequalities and women's empowerment. This is also a good time to see if anything is missing or if there's anything else participants would like to add. Finally, the goal for Step 9 is to thank the participants and close the discussion. Be sure to take photos of data generated, such as the sticky notes affixed to the posters, or any other information that will help you finalize your report. Roll up the poster or flip charts to take with you so we can use it again for data collection for other projects. Now that we have completed the focus group discussion activity, the next steps are to write up your findings for the focus group discussion and to conduct any other data collection activities needed, such as semi-structured interviews or site visits. For the interviews, you might want to collect additional information or insight and clarification about a project's gender equality results. These interviews help to identify key challenges or barriers to those results and key opportunities or lessons learned from promoting gender equality and empowerment goals. This information will be useful to include in your final evaluation report. The interviews will last between 30 minutes and 1 hour in length. A site visit might also be arranged with project staff, so you may need to coordinate your time for this activity as well.
Once you complete your data collection, i.e. your focus group discussions and semi-structured interviews with any project partners, you should have all the information you need to prepare your final report for the project evaluation. To help you prepare your final report, in the training package we provide guidance for analyzing and summarizing the data you've collected, as well as a report outline or template to help you write up your findings. You can find this information in the document called Reporting Guidelines. Here are some things to keep in mind when analyzing and summarizing the data you've collected. Complete your report as soon as possible after the focus group discussion so you can recall the information and not confuse participants' comments from other focus groups. Review all written notes, photos, and post-it notes from the focus group, as well as any notes from partner interviews, keeping an eye out for good quotes and examples to use in preparing your final report. Consider what themes or ideas stand out, and whether they reflect what you heard during the focus group. Be thorough in your summary, and be sure to provide a synthesis of findings for each of the different categories of empowerment, i.e. economic, knowledge, physical, self-confidence, and social. Reflect on the validation exercise from the end of the focus group to make sure your summary and analysis are in line with the feedback provided by participants. Report only the key data and findings from the data collection pertinent to gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. Here's a look at the report outline or template included in your training package. Your final report should include both raw data, quantitative and qualitative, and a summary of your observations and findings from the focus group discussion and any stakeholder interviews. The report templates shown here and suggested word counts are meant to serve as a guideline. While you have some flexibility regarding the exact length of each section, the ideal total word count is between 750 and 1,000 words, or 3 to 4 pages plus appendices. Try and stick closely to this length. When preparing your final report, start by providing key reference information from the focus group, including the total number of participants, the location of the focus group, the name of the project, the type of the project, and the names of any implementing partner organizations. Next, you'll be asked to summarize the gender impact ratings for each category of empowerment covered by the Gender Equality and Empowerment Measurement tool. This will require you to review the gender impact ratings chosen by focus group participants using the colored stickers and average them out for a final rating of between 1 and 4, where 1 equals no gender impacts, 2 equals some gender impacts, 3 equals significant gender impacts, and 4 equals very significant gender impacts. Elaborate on the rating chosen by providing specific examples from the focus group in the form of quotes from participants or from the post-it notes for each category. If a specific issue or topic came up more than others, this is worth reporting on. Similarly, if one participant's shared experience differed significantly from the others in the group, this can be worth noting as well, particularly if it was due to differences based on race, class, religion, disability, etc. Next, you'll be asked to report on the portion of the focus group discussion that addressed the supportive environment for change. After reviewing notes and materials from the discussion on supportive environment, provide examples shared by the participants of support received at work, home, school, religious or community groups, in society, or globally. Include a summary of the discussion about the impact of the support in terms of changes to cultural practices, to legal norms, etc. Illustrate these with examples and, where possible, quotes from the participants. Examples could include a law that was passed allowing women to open bank accounts without their father's or husband's permission, and how this impacts participants' work opportunities. Or a recent discussion in the media about men's responsibility for childcare and how this impacted participants' home life and time use. Next, you'll be asked to list 2 to 3 key recommendations made by the focus group participants or project partners for improving the project's gender equality and empowerment impacts. Illustrate these with examples and, where possible, quotes from the participants. Here you might also include recommendations provided by any project partners that you interviewed for the evaluation, and in this case, be sure to mention who is providing the comments. For example, it's important to mention whether the recommendation came from a focus group participant versus, say, a staff member from a partner organization involved in implementing the project. Finally, you will need to attach each of the following items as appendices to the final report. First, the sign-in sheet from the focus group that includes the names of participants. This can be a photo or a photocopy of the original sign-in sheet. Second, photos or photocopies of all the materials used for data collection during the focus group. The gender equality and empowerment measurement tool, posters or flip charts, post-it notes, etc. Third, a list of individuals who participated in semi-structured interviews, if any took place for this evaluation. This brings us to the end of the training video. We hope that you now feel more knowledgeable and more confident heading into the evaluation and data collection process, including with the use of the Gender Equality and Empowerment Measurement Tool and reporting guidelines for the evaluation. If you have any questions about the information presented in this video or in the training guide, you can contact Janice Gerhowski by emailing janice.gerhowski@international.gc.ca. This concludes the training video. Thank you for listening.